Hello and welcome to another one of our P.O.D videos on Kenpo self-defense techniques. This technique we'll be working through today is lock wing. This resides in our purple belt syllabus. Some of you may still have this in your orange belt syllabus, but it doesn't really make any difference. The technique is the important thing, not where it's positioned in the syllabus. The attack in this technique is a hammer lock, with our opponent locking our arm up behind our back. We're going to look at the technique as usual without a partner from 3 different views. We'll then break it down, have a look at a few of the concepts, including some principles such as the clock principle, marriage of gravity and so forth. And then we'll look at some variations. Now the variations will be done in a different format to normal, and I'd like your views at the end to see whether you like the variations done this way or the old way as we did in the orange belt syllabus. So that being said, we'll get into the technique lock wing. This technique receives its title from the Kenpo terminology wing, which is a representative name for the elbow. Here the arm is bent at the elbow, or wing, and is locked to the rear by our opponent, hence the technique name of locked wing. As your opponent gathers up your arm by grabbing at your wrist, have your leg step back into a reverse neutral bow, ensuring it makes contact with the inside of your opponent's leg as you settle into your stance. Simultaneously with the step back, rotate your body towards your opponent as you counter grab the wrist of his attacking arm. When rotating towards your opponent, pivot your stance in place, converting it to a neutral bow. With the rotation towards your opponent, deliver an outward elbow strike to his jaw, driving his head backwards, straightening his grabbing arm and halting the attack. Continue to circle your arm back over your opponent's arm, clawing his face as you go. Keep the circular motion going to end under his arm with your inner elbow at his elbow joint, and immediately pivot into a forward bow, applying a ballistic break to this joint. When applying this break, ensure your arm is not below your opponent's elbow, nor above it, but is on top of it. Having pivoted into a forward bow and affected your opponent's posture, have your lead leg step straight back into another forward bow, and immediately on settling into this stance, pivot once again, but this time into a neutral bow. The reaction will cause your opponent to move further around towards you. As your opponent is thrown around, release your counter grab to his wrist and impact his forward momentum with a simultaneous rear arm heel palm to the rear of his head or neck and a rear leg knee to the front of his sternum. If you are not proceeding on to the extension, finish this technique by using marriage of gravity as you plant your kneeing leg forward, pushing your opponent to the floor. At this point we will proceed on to the extension to locked wing. If you do not require this at your stage of training, you may wish to bypass the next section of this video. From the knee and simultaneous heel palm, plant your kneeing leg forward, having your lead arm reach over your opponent's upper body to grasp his chin, whilst your rear hand reaches over your opponent's lower body, but under his arm to grab the meat of his chest. Once you have secured a hold of these points on your opponent's body, have your rear foot step 4/12 up the circle into a wide kneel stance. Simultaneously with this step, pull with both your arms, flipping your opponent over to face up, with his spine landing on your lead knee. From here, quickly deliver an upward elbow with your lead arm to your opponent's jaw, immediately following on with the same arm reversing direction to deliver a back elbow again to his jaw. Keep the sequence of flow going, following up with a claw to his face, then the arm circling over, executing an overhead downward hammer fist to his solar plexus, heart or collarbone. Attempt to time the hammer fist's impact on its target just as you remove your leg from under his spine, thereby striking your opponent into the ground. As he lands on the floor, pivot into a close kneel stance, dropping your rear knee onto his jaw or throat. Then immediately rise up and with the same leg stomp down onto his face, applying marriage of gravity. From here, front crossover and cover out, stomping any available target as you go. And welcome back. So now we're going to look at the variations. Now here, as I said at the beginning, we've changed the format slightly, and I'd like you to let me know whether you like the format as it is in the videos previous, or whether you like this new style. So you let me know in the comments, please, and also whilst you're doing that, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to give the video a like and share it out to other people who might find it of use. Now let's have a look at some variations. We thought we'd do something different this time. Rather than break the techniques down in the variations into certain sections, we'll go through how we're going to progress through the technique and show the different variations we can do. So obviously we're talking about the technique lock wing, and my partner Mark here is going to demonstrate the attack. As you know from the body of the video, Mark's grabbing my arm and he's putting a hammer lock in behind me. Okay, so you've seen how we step back, elbow to the face and do the base technique. This one, Mark's going to be placing his hand on my shoulder or blocking me, or it might even be the pain of this hammer lock which stops me being able to step back this way. So we're going to use the technique which is obvious to most of you, the result of family groupings, is flight to freedom, to escape from this. Because I can't go back this way, the only option I can is to walk away from him, straightening my arm, picking his ribs here as a target from the back, his floating ribs, then taking him over. I'm not going to go into the extensions here, but there's plenty of things you can do to maybe break his arm in that case. Okay, so now we're going to look at another technique we can do from here. In this case, Mark puts the hammer lock on me, and I'm able to step back inside his stance and deliver the elbow to his face, which causes him to react backwards. But here I step around him, go underneath his arm, as the release comes in from his grab, and I apply the sweeper technique to him, holding the person in tight to me, taking to the floor, and finishing off to the sweeper. So with that one, we're actually dipping underneath his arm, and this is going to be a bit of a theme with the next few variations of dipping under the arm. So I can step back, hit, dip under the arm, go into the sweeper, but I can also go into techniques such as here, 1, 2, 3, leaping crane. Hitting here, stepping back, elbow, go through here, and we can flashing wings. Now obviously because we're behind the person, we could always take advantage of that rather than just attacking the side with the strikes to the ribs. We could use the back as an advantage in the sense of hitting here, bang, moving behind him, coming up, taking him back and delivering the backbreaker. And of course, still going through there, we can use the lower part of his body as our target for a counter attack to the lock. We'll come back here, go through inside here, come back, pick the leg up, and escape from the storm. Alright, so now we can move on again, a bit further through the technique this time. As Mark puts the hammer lock on, I've counter grabbed, step back, elbowed him, clawed, snap the arm one. As I come through now and bring him around, you can step through and do a version of securing the storm. And this time, when I do the secondary arm lock, Mark positions himself low, so maybe actually being able to get to him to flip him over as an extension isn't going to be practical, so we can just simply come out and use a simple arm snap in that case to finish the technique out. So as you come into here, I step back, elbow, claw, there's one breakthrough, and he goes lower, come here, break the arm with the knee. Okay, so the final variation I'm going to talk about here is a simple little move, but it can cause so much stress on your partner's lower lumbar region that you need to make your partner aware of what you're going to do before you do it. Don't just surprise your partner by doing this movement on him. So Mark's fully aware of what's going to happen. So as he grabs and I take that elbow claw lock, I step back, bring him around. There's the heel palm to the back of the neck, back of the head, with the knee to the sternum. Now, normally if you're finishing out here, you know you're going to push the person to the floor, but we use our body weight now as I come forward, and I just literally just allow my body to drop and relax onto him. And this, he's putting, trying to keep himself up. This is where you're going to put all the pressure on the lower part of his spine. Okay, so I'm literally using all my weight on his upper body. Okay, so we just show you again. So Mark, putting the lock on. I'm coming back, elbow, claw, there's the lock. Step back, bringing him around. There's the back of the neck and the knee to the sternum, and then my body weight comes forward and just drops straight down on him. Now, I can finish out from here, but obviously he's going to be a lot lower than it would be if he was on my knee when I'm doing a wide knee stance. Alright, so that's just some of the variations. Different way of doing it. If you'd like them done this way, let me know. If you'd rather them done as I've been doing in the Orange Belt videos, where we break them down and just show them fast and slow, let me know that as well. So you tell me which ones you feel are your favourites. Okay, thanks very much for joining us. Well, that's the end of this first video in our Purple Belt syllabus. We hope the information contained in this video is of use to you. Please don't forget to comment and give us your views and some feedback. It's always helpful to us to know we're on the right track. Don't forget to let me know whether you like the new format of variations or whether you prefer it the old way. And also, don't forget, please like, share and subscribe. This is Andy Seetherton of Combat Fusion Martial Arts, wishing you a good night.